It's showtime. Okay. Hello, beautiful Lovetarians. This is Natalia PH Cecile and our beautiful guest, EriKA Joan Cole. Welcome to the Lovetarian Way podcast. And I am going to introduce our guest. Oh, Cecile actually is going to introduce our guest in a moment. I'm just making sure that everything is working technically. To be able to comment while we are live. We are live with StreamYard platform, so you will see, if you would like your name to be shown, you will see a little message with this video saying give permission to StreamYard in order for us to see your name. Otherwise, it's just going to be participating person. We will interact with you. Okie dokie. So, Cecile, please introduce our beautiful, gorgeous, beautiful goddess guest here, and then I'll tell a few words about the podcast.
Perfect. So, hello, welcome. By being an intuitive mastery visionary, and of course, a Sophia Code Earth Angel sister, EriKA guides people to actually explode their creative potential and their prosperity. She guides people to give their dream form. She connects with the Sophia Christ consciousness, the quantum field of energy, and of course, earth magic. She's a master in Reiki, a master in psychology, family members and parents, therapist, and of course, so much more. Welcome, EriKA.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. What a lady we have today. Let the magic begin.
That's always the biggest challenge is putting yourself in some sort of box when you're super multidimensional.
Yes.
What am I today? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. We'll talk about that in a moment. Let me just say a few words to those that don't really know what this is all about, since we're going live on several platforms. We had set out to build the Lovetarian Way movement, and the podcast is one of the tools that help us do that, get out there into the world and, well, shall we say it, build the empire of love and light together with other beautiful light workers such as beautiful EriKA here. We are contributing to the elevation of consciousness of our beautiful humanity, helping really, Mother Earth honestly doesn't need us to save her. We are helping and we are assisting. EriKA, does any soul need saving, by the way?
No.
Please,
we're already there.
Please go there.
Just remembering.
Exactly. What are we remembering?
To me, like, I perceive we're remembering just how powerful we are, how creative we are, how already enlightened we are, right? That we're dragons.
Exactly. So when you say you are helping to explode the creative potential of a person, please dive into that.
Yeah. I've recently just kind of like been coming back to my roots, which is like, you know, that question when you're a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? It's always been artist. And I went to art school too, and then went on this whole other path. But like, to me, like when we're at our highest potential, when we're bringing in prosperity, it means we're creating something, like whatever is at our heart's resonance, like we're in that creative flow, which, you know, the creative flow is an interesting dragon in itself, because sometimes it is explosive and then sometimes it's about taking a rest, or, you know, like your pillar nourishing yourself. And so, you know, to me, I'm like really wanting to get back to my roots and working with people and really, really talk about artistry, creativity in whatever it is you're offering.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. And we need to clarify a little bit here, because for those who are not familiar, you're using a word dragon, you're using a word Sophia Code. Could you explain what that is and what this is all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So about 4 years ago, I went on the path of the Sophia Code. And, you know, Natalia works with the Sophia Code too, and it really weaves into everything that I do. But the Sophia Code is like this recognition of dragons as these high order of angel beings. And as we kind of see even in the 3D world, it's like dragons are like popping out again. And that really like is a signal, at least in the Sophia Code cosmology, that we're moving into more of a golden era. And so, yeah, so I feel like we all have our own like personal angelic dragon that we can work with, one or two, and also just the dragons of Sophia as well.
We are, of course, talking about thank you, golden era. What golden era? Can you explain that a little bit for our audience?
Yeah. Well, as I see it, like the golden era, this kind of comes back to the explosion of our creativity. Is the golden era to me is an era where we are all like tapping into our unique gifts, our special abilities, which everybody has like their own, and this is a Sophia Code term, their own like key code or blueprint of what their unique sort of symphony is in the world. And so like in the golden era, everybody, from what I see, is like in those gifts, sharing those gifts. It's not that we're all doing the same thing. It's not like, yeah, it's not like monistic. It's like there's these colorful plays on how we're expressing ourselves. Yeah, that's how I would describe it.
So one of the purposes of our podcast or the movement is to really do exactly that with the Lovetarian Way. Not help. We don't need to help anybody. I keep using the word sometimes, but in fact, we are guides. Right. We assist in everybody's responsibility, right, to live their highest potential, own their light, reconnect or remember their light, rather. We're never disconnected, are we?
No, I don't think so.
Exactly. So when you look at humans as multidimensional beings, right? How do you perceive ego and how do you perceive the mind? Because there's a lot of chatter about it. Like, is it good? Is it bad? Is it something to work with or not? How is it in your work?
Well, my perception, and this like probably comes from both psychology and then, esoteric cosmology stuff. But for me, the ego, like, I don't think you can kill your ego as a human.
I don't want to kill my ego.
And in fact, it's my belief that most people actually need to learn how to raise their ego up. It's deflated in a lot of ways. And you're either kind of like rewarded for having a really high ego, and then you're more in the forefront of our modern society, or you're kind of pushed back away from that sort of calibration with it. I feel like it's the art of like calibrating your ego to work for you in a like positive, loving way versus, taking over. And I see like sort of in the psychology world, they call it the default mode network. Yeah, default mode network. And that to me is like when the ego is going on autopilot and it's protecting you in various defensive ways because you've been hurt or whatever. And so, but a lot of times people are putting each other down in our world. And so it's like your ego is actually usually really small and like you are afraid to come out and be expressive in your creativity, right?
Yeah.
When you say that, for example, with creativity, I completely agree with that, especially like when you don't let yourself out on, for example, the painting. While you're painting, it's just sometimes you have to, in this case, dare to express yourself and want to express yourself. And most of the times you create amazing things while you thought you could never do that. Right.
Yeah, that's kind of a good example of ego working itself out, right? It's like I used to work with kids that were traumatized, and I would use art to help them. And a lot of times they wouldn't even want to draw because they would want it to be perfect right when they drew, right? And so like you said, it's like you have to make mistakes and be messy, and like that's all a part of the process.
Yeah. Well, in the Lovetarian Way movement or in the academy that we are building with two workshops already launched. So yay on us. We had some amazing goddesses join us from all over the world, and we are working on yeah, well, basically awakening that potential with each and single one of them. And that is so unique that, in my opinion, I totally believe it. There will be no need to compete whatsoever in this golden age of miracles. Isn't that
Right.
what? Yeah, you know what I mean? That we're really enthusiastic about it because there's one you, there's one Cecile, there's one of each.
Right. Yeah, and that's
yeah.
a beautiful place to get to, is to like work through that. You know, that's another just programming we have to always compare. But once you see that everybody can be out there doing their thing, then it's like, it's a relief. And then it's like you get to not help people, but you get to be right there next to people. And one of my favorite, like, you know, my sort of focus and going back to like really going back to creativity is one of my favorite times in my life is in art school, being in the art studio, just being around artists. And like, there's some sort of energy that happens that fuels your creativity when you're like side by side and someone else is creating something. And so like, I just wanted to come back to that. I was like, I want that feeling again.
So how do you spend most of your time these days? Like you are mama, you
Right.
are an enlightened business owner, you're an artist. So tell a little bit about your mom.
Yeah. Well, as you recently figured out, I'm working more closely with the Sophia Code and supporting the movement, which is growing and growing and growing, and you know, doing kind of the same thing, just like ushering people to remember their light. And so that's a big chunk of my time right now, is just working directly. And then I'm also working on Oracle cards. And that's kind of like, once I birth through this project, it's something I want to help other people do, is like birth their projects from, you know, beginning to the end product. And so, you know, and then being a mom. So those are kind of the orchestration. And then also, you know, just the practices that keep us healthy. Getting back into yoga. I had to heal a lot after having a baby. It kind of put me, I don't know, there's a lot of things that happen. You kind of open your portal and sacrifice your body. And so it's like getting back to those things that really do nourish my soul. And yoga is one of them. I'm being really gentle with myself, because right before I got pregnant, I was probably at the healthiest place I've been in my life. And so it really kind of hurt me to lose that strength that I feel like I had, which isn't just because of pregnancy, because you can still be strong and pregnant, but also just everything that was happening in the external world. And I moved and all these crazy, you know, dragon ride things are happening.
Well, I'll give you a huge, huge, huge salutation compliment here, because you look amazing. I mean, I've seen you. We spoke last year, yes, and so it's now, wow. Blooming. Not that you ever stop blooming. I can see the transformation, right? You're getting your yoga body back, and you are, you just look more, it's a different space. Isn't it?
Yeah. And it, you know this, like light work requires strength building.
It's not for the faint of heart, is it?
Yeah. And I think that's a shift, is like you have to be body strong to be, you know, a channel or whatever it is you're doing. Like I think that's a shift. Like psychics and channels in the past, like they didn't take care of their bodies, and like you look at
that's not flying, is it?
Yeah, doesn't work anymore.
No, that I'm glad that you said that, because the 4 pillars of the Lovetarian Way. Cecile, would you like to say what they are for our audience?
Yes, of course. Pillar number 1 is accepting to take 100% responsibility for your life, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions. Pillar number 2, that we are all one. You don't want to do to others what you don't want to be done unto you. And
I love it every time. You know the golden rule. I have to interrupt it. It's funny. Do not unto another what you don't want done upon yourself. Thank you.
My grandma taught me that one.
Yeah. Well, ancient wisdom, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, we'll go on.
Pillar number 3, that we see everything in our life as a miracle, that we embrace the miracles in our life. And pillar number 4, that we embrace the Lovetarian nourishment, that we look after our body, our mind, our soul, of course, by breath work, by yoga, by food, by any type of nourishment you can think of.
Thank you so much.
Love it.
That was beautiful. And why it is relevant to what you just comes without saying, that the times of, well, it's the Messiah who is going to come and save us. Niet, as they say in Russia. Niet, niet, niet. No.
Niet. I like that.
Yeah. Who is the Messiah, if we shall use that word, EriKA?
Oh, we are, our inner souls are our own, selves. And that's a huge one. Like the first pillar, you see that being played out in the most extreme way right now, like with health, right? Like choosing something externally where it's like, what am I doing for my immune system for health? That's like such a huge, like we're playing with that at the extreme so that we can really learn that we have it. I think.
We totally believe it. EriKA, do you see a chat here box? You could write how people can reach you. So I'm going to put it on the screen while we're talking, and then we'll continue with the discussion.
Well, I am doing, it's not complete yet, but we are creating a new website, and it would be intuitivemastery.org. So
is this the best for now? Or
I'll give you my regular one because it's up and running.
We can always reach you, there.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna blast this on screen now. Chat, okay. Show. Boom. No, no boom yet. Chat. Okay, I've got to copy it. All right, I copy that. Copy here.
The exciting thing about my new website is it's not going to be just about me. And my partner is like this amazing wizard man. And all my work with the Sophia Code totally brought me to him. And he's going to be a part of that. So it's going to be really cool to have that divine feminine and masculine playing with each other.
Yeah, Cecilia.
That's also a beautiful part where you can, as parents, show parents as well how you can really listen and be consciously aware of what your children are telling you. Like I know from your post, as I follow you, of course, that you are very aware, but a lot of parents are not aware. And Absolutely. They don't listen to their kids, what they are literally saying.
Yeah. It's a journey. Parenting is like, if you want to get all your shadow work on the table, become a parent.
I agree with that.
And your light work. It's like, your kids will be mirrors to everything about you. And it's a journey. It is a journey. And they're each, so, I have 3 kids. So it's like each of them I'm working out something different with.
What are their ages, actually?
13, 12, and 9 months. So huge kind of gap in between. But it's fun because, like, my son, he really helps me out a lot. He's watching them right now.
Yeah, his name is very unusual. Also, can you say it?
The babies? Yeah.
The babies.
It's Ryo, which is Japanese and it means it means golden. It means dragon. My partner, before we met, about the same time in our lives, we were like, I would say, meeting our dragons. He was in Peru doing some deep healing work in Peru. And I was, I was at a live event for the Sophia Code in Sedona. And like, I feel like we, and then that energy kind of came through Ryo. I mean, it's funny because he'll like claw and like growl, and my partner Colin, he's like, yeah, I remember he's a human. He's a dragon learning how to be a human. He looks at himself in the mirror and goes,
why should people, yeah, exactly. When you talk about the dragon, why should people not be afraid? Because there's this collective fear of dragons. Right. Why should I not be afraid of dragons?
Oh, dragons are like the celestial birthers, right? And I think as we all know, there's been a lot of not so great directions that the earth has gone. And in those pathways, I think it's symbolic almost that they've made the dragon out to be the enemy. Like you're slaying your dragon, right? You're fighting your dragon. It's like fighting yourself. It's that inner conflict you mentioned before we jumped on, but it's like we're meant to actually embrace that part of ourselves, and dragons are powerful. Like it is a powerful energy to work with. It's powerful to have a child that brings that energy from the gate. It's, you gotta like strap on your boots, as they say.
Exactly.
It's magic. It's living in miracles. That's what it is.
Yes, there we go. Kana says yes, they are indeed absolutely magical and
So
beautiful. 100%. So listen, there are many different dragons, right? Fire, earth, and so how can we what you do can help people connect with those elements and well, explain a little bit of your work and how can you help them become the most amazing, magical Lovetarians they can be?
I think for me, like one of my kind of superpowers, and this comes from my journey, it comes from even my trauma, is really seeing people in their purity, their innocence. And, for me, I'm always now working with dragon energy. It's just there. It's like, when I see it, it looks like, kind of a figure 8 where they're coming. It's so multidimensional when I tap into it. And so, I'm just being me and my embodiment, and whoever is drawn into that ring of fire is going to feel that too. And it's going to like, activation happens in so many different ways. Sometimes people are activated and they're reflecting on, qualities that, you're bringing that they want. And sometimes it's just, quite simply just writing the journey together and witnessing. And when you say describe it, I'm like, I don't know. It's different. I guess I would describe it as almost its own key code for every person that I come into contact with. It's like, it's hard for me even to like start to attach words, because it's like when I sit with someone, it's like, what are you bringing to me? And then what is that going to look like? It's going to be so unique for each person. I do Sophia Circle journeys. That's like, and right now, because I'm been guiding a new human and working with the Sophia Code, it's like, that's been my main offer, I would say, my external, the thing that's out there.
Can we go deeper into that?
Yeah. So Sophia Code journeys, Natalia knows this.
Well, that's how we met, because you interviewed me to join your circle. Yes, last year.
So it's going through the Sophia Code in a very intentional way. It's a very structured vessel, and it's 13 circles that you move through. So you're going through each chapter of the Sophia Code. What happens for me when I'm leading them is I see what I call codes, my own codes coming forward. I think you were in the one around prosperity. And so I kind of seal the intentions of whatever circle is coming up next and put that out there. And then people are drawn to it that are working specifically maybe on that particular theme. And I don't even necessarily like do any extra things. It's just like putting the magical intention out there and doing like the metaphysical work to bring that forward. And then it happens in all sorts of mysterious ways in different people's lives. Sometimes it doesn't always look like you think it's going to look. It moves differently. And so it's such an honor to do that and to witness people move through the Sophia Code in that way. And this next circle is really about creativity and prosperity. I think those two are linked directly together.
When is it?
We are commencing on Mary Magdalene's feast day, July 22nd. So that's probably a part of it too.
Beautiful. So if anybody would like to join your circle, is there still space?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I actually just it's interesting. This circle wanted some like gestation time. I usually do them right after each other, but there is some space in between. I just ended my last one like a couple weeks ago. And so this one has been like wanting to percolate a little bit.
Yeah. And there's an interview process involved, right?
Yeah, usually you can fill out a form, an application process, and then always speak with you on the phone just to make sure you're feeling good about kind of the resonance of me and the resonance of you and how that, yeah, that's how it happens.
Is a person required to have gone through a round of initiations with the Sophia Code, or?
You can be at any level. I've had, and I love the groups that are mixed, like some people coming in brand new, they don't even know what they're getting into. Some people that are actually, I've had, you know, like you're in the Sophia Circle program. And so I love that mixed energy where people are at different levels in their Sophia Code ascension journey.
So literally, if somebody just got the book and I feel drawn, they can contact you.
Absolutely. Yes. In fact, I love those conversations.
Okay. And is it a secret how much you are charging?
No, it's not a secret. It's been the same from the beginning, and it's $33 a circle, which comes out to, I believe, $429, and with a couple
$429. Yes.
Yeah, and a couple payment plan options for that. And you know, I've been there with prosperity issues, and I could say it's a super high value. I do think it's a high value, but you know, I also understand that there's sometimes in life where $400 is actually a lot of money. So I do work with people on occasions like that, just because I've been there.
Well, I have experienced this firsthand with you. I was fortunate enough to pay the whole thing, but and being at the same time a student in the mystery school, and I will be running my own circles from September.
Yay!
Yay! We are also told, right, that we can offer 11, 22, and 33, right, per
That is
circle.
correct.
Because
yes.
How this is very relaxing for personalities like you and me to run circles, because we actually facilitate a space for somebody who is for the ascended masters, don't we? We don't, it's not our mind or heart even that runs it. We make a space, don't we?
Exactly. Yeah. We're showing up.
Could you explain the difference as opposed to your own work? How, because you know, I could talk, but you interviewed.
Yeah. No, well, the beautiful thing about the Sophia circles is we get to like just show up in our highest energetic field, because we're not fussing with how we're going to do it, what we're going to do. It's already there. And there is ceremony in it. There is creativity with the journaling questions and the reading sections. But yeah, it's, you know, we're creating our altars, which is, to me, is a divine portal. And then we're showing up in our energetic field, which, you know, this, like, if you're showing up in a really good way, that means you've put in the time, you've put in the work, you put in the money to like be vibrating at that level. And so, you know, but that's the beauty of it. It's like, I'm not doing anything for you, to you. Like, we're showing up and meeting in that divine Sophia Christ consciousness.
And masters are doing the work with us.
Exactly. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And I've been working very closely with Quan right now, like you, Natalia, and I think that's showing up. And I think it's directly related to expressing our creativity, because it's working with your inner child and the Phoenix child. And so my thought is that's probably going to show up for other people that join this round.
So in the Sophia Code, the inner child is called Phoenix child. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. The Phoenix child is, you know, the rising child. And it's when we really tend to the inner child, which I'll be the first to admit that I have had some serious avoidance with that area for a while, because there's a lot there to heal. So it's not necessarily always a fun journey, but it's like, the more I'm playing with my inner child, the more I see my prosperity come forward, the more I see things aligned and the clarity. So the Phoenix child is your inner child rising up, right, from the ashes, and as Kaia Ra says, like that's the part of you that's going to share your gifts, your spiritual gifts, your creative gifts. And I love that aspect of it.
Thank you. I was doing my best to show here.
I almost wear that one. I almost wore it today.
Can you explain what that is and who is that Kaia anyway? And what is this jewelry that we are showing off? You have that also.
Yeah, I have the lightning ankh. Well, I'm obsessed with ankhs right now. I think it's protective for me. But yeah, that's the Mother Mary pendant, which is the Phoenix rising also on one side. Yeah, this is ascension jewelry, and you know, I love Kaia Ra. Her teachings, I sometimes can't wrap my head around how the level of information that comes through her can come through one human being. Like, to me, it's like, what? Like,
hello, she was activated at the age of 0, you know?
Yeah. And so I remember I was there live when I started in Stargate 2, her curriculum, Mystery School, when it was live, and it was a year-long program at that time. And there was a moment where she like had to pause and went to Bali and created this jewelry. And it was like, she had that fire and was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I have a whole movement that's opening up here, but I have to go create this jewelry. And that's where this jewelry line started, was from that, like her listening to that divine guidance of like, and now it's like, you know, fast forward 4 years, think of everything that's happened. Like we need amulets. I've always worn amulets since I was a kid. Like it's always been something like that. It's like, oh, this protects me, and I'm gonna, you know, I've never, like when I wear a necklace, it's like on forever. And I switch what it is, but it's like it's never, you know, I'll wear forever. But yeah, and that one, the one you're wearing, I with Ryo and my birth, that was on me every day, and it's so heavy, and it's like it like holds your heart. It holds it.
Yeah.
For people who don't know about the jewelry, what does it stand for? What is it about? Does it represent the Ascendant Masters or?
Yeah. There's different jewelry for each Ascended Master, and then also Joan of Arc. I don't think she's mentioned in the Sophia Code, but she really came out of the Stargate 2. So there's also Joan of Arc, which I love Joan of Arc. But yeah, there's like, this is the Ankh of Life, and this is connected to Hathor's lineage. And each of them, there's different ones and bracelets, and like there's different price points for them. Yeah.
Magdalene.
Yeah. And there, you know, it's ascension technology. It's gonna help you. Like, to me, the Ankh like holds the resonance of like, you know, that confidence and strength and like opening up your heart. It's called the breath of life, right? So just like kind of like opening and protection. So
of course.
Yeah, so it's jewelry that is not normally, you buy not like normal jewelry. It's like, it has a special meaning to it, and it's been made with a special intention, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I remember when it happened, she was in Bali for a while, like working side by side, birthing these creations, picking, like very intentionally picking people, you know, divinely orchestrated to work on it. And I think every step of the way, there's been medicine, you know, threaded in it.
And of course, the quality is amazing. The quality of material, the intention, that reflects in the price as well, which that's beautiful. That's prosperity for you.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I have learned in my prosperity healing that whatever you put into value comes back to you tenfold. And so same with like, if in courses where I somehow got in by a very generous offering, it's like, I don't put as much energy into that course. Not to say that we should go and charge a bunch of money, but it's like, there is a resonance in it. And like, how much do I value myself? How much am I willing to put into myself? Because it'll come back. It always does. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so glad you're saying it, because I am one who has 0 problems putting a huge numbers on things, because I have my prosperity consciousness in 2012. 2012, when I had almost basically, no, 2012, 2008, when I had this near financial ruin experience with, Lehman Brothers went down. And we had a huge business with hundreds of employees. And then, the connection of it all, when it all went down because of the so-called crisis, right? A financial crisis. And we were directly connected, with contracts and everything. So from big income, boom, right? And this is, I call it my phoenix from the ashes rebirth.
Because it's a healing. It's such a healing for so many people. And especially in the spiritual world, there is this old programming that you have to be a martyr and you have to, and you have to offer things for free. But the ancient, healers were taken care of. Their houses were covered. Their food was covered. It's just, we work in currency now, and it's just the way it is.
Well, money is just another form of energy, and we work with energy. And how much do you value yourself? Just to give you an example, the workshops we are offering, we're starting with pay what you can and let it reflect what it is worth to you. If you can pay $1, pay $1. If you can pay 10,000, pay 10,000. And so it is. And actually, because I believe, healed hugely since 2008, when, by the way, what had happened helped me truly embody what it means to be in the flow, infinite flow, and trust. Like, if, yes, you are closing that business, however, what is that? It's just one chapter. And there's another possibility. And I was not so wise back then. No, it was, but as soon as I was already doing this work, I had said, okay, let's apply our own medicine. I said to my husband, and let's rebirth truly and show that we can actually live the dream. The light wanted me to do this work. So I started really in 2009. So it took a moment. My husband also wanted to do something else. So it's like to dare live the music of your heart, isn't it?
Beautiful. I love that.
And you will be taken care of, will you?
Oh yeah. It's a huge trust, but it's like once you do, and then you start, it's magnetic. It's like the opportunities, the people, the money, whatever it is, it'll come.
I want people to understand a difference between sharing our gifts that we do. We do so much for free. Then again, it's not for free, is it? Because
it's free.
There's this infinite flow of possibilities. And if we share, rather, shall I say, freely our gifts and wisdom, it will come back from all sorts of sources. I'm not attached to get $1 from that person or $1 million from that person. It doesn't matter. It's coming.
Absolutely. Right? Yep. I love that.
From known and unknown sources.
We work with affirmations, with incantations, with light language all the time. So we say, I'm taken care of. My good comes to me from everywhere and everyone, an infinite flow of abundance. And it does.
If you don't expect or allow for the possibility of miracles, they're not gonna enjoy coming to you.
Amen, sister. And you know what? That is really interesting. This whole conversation is really interesting for some people we have in the school stages of awareness, right? You start with 0 when you are this unawakened human, the victim, shall we say, without judgment, by the way. We work with non-judgment, absolutely. It's more of a stage than a level. We all in evolutionary stages, and it's not linear. It's just flowing different areas of our lives. We might be a victim, another one, we are a winner already or succeeded,
right.
So it's flowing. But what I'm getting to is that when you really starting to get empowered and awakening and eventually awaken the divine human, you understand prosperity mentality. You feel you are prosperity. There's no competition. So why would I, for example, somebody just asked me that, which by the way is an interesting reflection on what is still a shadow in my own consciousness since they asked that question. We don't work with attraction. We work with magnetism and reflection. So if something still triggers me, that is an opportunity to take 100% responsibility for that, do my work on myself, right? So somebody asked me the question, it's like, okay, so you're gonna run those circles and you inviting that girl, and what is that all about? Aren't you afraid? Aren't you afraid of competition?
Right. Yeah.
Well,
I think it's awesome. Like that's, one of the things I love it during my Sophia circle in the introduction, there's a moment that talks about, I forget what it says, but it's like, there's a moment that takes me to the place of thinking of all the Sophia circles happening all over the world. And like, it's a mycelium network, it's not a like one pillar of light. It's like this connected web.
Yeah.
Coming back to pillar 2, we are one.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
One energy. And everybody listens to a different frequency. So maybe people will be lit up by your wise words, or by Natalia's wise words, or by Kaia Ra's wise words.
Exactly. Cecile's wise words.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something I have to work with in working for the Sophia Code, because I'm also leading Sophia circles, and it's not in the best interest to be like, hey, I'm leading Sophia circles, but it's like, go look at the directory and see what sparks with you. It's energetic, like someone's going to spark with you. Right. And so it's like, there's no need to, there's so much healing that needs to take place. We could have a million Sophia circle leaders.
A few million souls led by you, few million led by us. Oh my. It's only, how many are we now? Over 8 billion, right?
Yeah, something like that. I think it's exponential every day.
We have been in one of our first classes in the school. We talk about when the power of collective intention. And I wanted to ask you that, do you know a sister, or maybe you yourself, do you know somebody who is very familiar with moon cycles and knows a lot about moon?
I mean, I've been connected to moon cycles my entire life. And like, I always say I'm out of time, because the like linear kind of Gregorian time is like, doesn't even resonate with me. I have to adapt, obviously, because that's how the world works. But yeah, I think anytime that you really allow yourself to connect to the earth in any way, like just being with it and slowing, not like, a lot of people, they'll go on a hike and they're like charging forward to get to the top of the mountain, but it's like really just listening and being with earth. Magic and medicine is like, you're going to automatically start syncing up with things like the moon and being more aware of it. But yeah, my partner leads full moon meetings. So we kind of are in that energy.
Your partner as in your husband?
Yeah, my mate.
Okay, because why I'm asking is, when I was doing Mary Magdalene, when I was working with Mary Magdalene, I like to say, when you're in that, we call it the second stage of awareness, that is awakening human, before you become fully awakened like Buddha. Well, shall we all aspire to that?
Yeah.
Okay. But awakening, you get to co-create with the masters, with your light, with all sorts of beautiful beings of light. Of course, darkness too. We choose the light. Yeah, that's what we do.
Right.
When I was working with Mary Magdalene, I got my marching orders, because again, they never order us anything, but it's this co-creative process, right? Yeah. To start running, what shall we call it? Well, it would be a special podcast, if you will, in the new moon, the time really, yes. So that's why I was like, I need to interview somebody who can tell us more about the moon. So maybe your partner would be interested.
Yeah. And the, to me, this is just my perception, but I feel like the new moon is the divine feminine moon, and then the full moon is the masculine moon. And so I love that you're doing it on the new moon, because it feels like,
exactly.
You're working with that divine. I mean, we're always working with both energies. Yeah. That is, who we are, but, calling in the divine feminine and specifically. So I love that. Yeah. I mean, he's a great speaker. Like you would be like, who is this guy?
Oh, right.
I'm trying to push him out there, because he is.
As we women do.
But so
I would get back to Cecile. You're gonna.
Yes.
What is his name?
Colin M. Powers is his name. Yeah.
Colin. So we're gonna, if he has time, our next availability is for one in August. So we're gonna be in touch.
Cool.
And then let me ask you, so can you go deeper into the duality of our being and the two energies, the moon and all the alignments and all of that? How is it that it's the moon and divine energy and the sun and the masculine? What is that all about? Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think just we have these like alchemical kind of symbolic energies, right? And the sun is our expressive side. It's what we're shining into the world, and that very much is the life force energy of the masculine, and then the feminine is the moon qualities of like magnetism and water and the emotional flow, and so just like using those as maps to understand the world. To me it's like you could call it anything you want, but like it's like finding the magic that resonates for you within those things. And people have encoded these things, right? Like from ancient Egypt to now, it's like people have put energy into these resonances. And so if we tap into that, we're going to receive, those things from that timeline or energy. I don't know if that answered the question, but
yes, you did. And actually beautiful, because, Pillar 4 is all about Lovetarian Way nourishment. And so, what nourishment do you choose? And we work with energies being, everything is an energy vibrating at certain frequency, right? Yeah. So which energies do you choose to align to? Are the belief systems or the thoughts that you are cultivating, are they nourishing you, right, or are they not nourishing you? It's all a choice, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. And I love that. Like one of the things that we talk about, meaning my mate and I, is like belief systems. Like beliefs actually need to be mutable, and they need to be explored, and they need to be reflected on. And so often some really stagnant things can happen if you hold on to a belief system. So I'm glad you said that.
Isn't it like water? If you don't refreshen that pond occasionally, what happens?
Yeah, just look at, we are water, right? Like what happens to stagnant water?
Why is it important? Since we work with Quan, maybe could you tell a little bit about beautiful Quan? Cheers to Quan.
Yeah,
why cheer with water?
Kuan Yin, I love Kuan Yin. But I like I said, I avoided her at first. There were certain key codes in the Sophia Code that I naturally was like, okay, this is, Hathor, White Buffalo Woman. Those ones are like my babes. But Quan Yin, I tended to kind of tiptoe through.
Why is that?
For me, it's because there was work to be done with my inner child. I did have a pretty rough childhood, and where a lot of neglect and which brought me a lot of gifts, because I, in that neglect, I spent a lot of time with Mother Earth. I always say Mother Earth was my first mother, and I was tapped into those energies from an early child. But at the same time, I noticed that my avoidance of Kuan Yin kind of was reflecting that neglect. I was neglecting my own inner child, and really like all that part of me wants to do is do art and like create art and make art. And so it's a really fun part of me. And so Kuan Yin is this interesting, like we think of really soft and gentle, but water is not always soft and gentle, like look at a river, look at Niagara, right? But it can penetrate rocks, and also that dragon energy coming through her too. And so like I always love that phrase that is in the Sophia Code, fierce compassion. It's like compassion that like fire can incinerate things, but it's also compassionate because it brings new life. Yeah.
And she is of 1,000 waters, isn't she?
Yes. Yeah. And we, as we do our water blessing in our circles every time. And water blessing is something that anybody can do. start.
Maybe guide us. Would you like to guide us through one water blessing? If everybody has a
Sure. I don't have water, but I will pretend. How's that?
I will hold it for everyone.
Me too.
I should have had water. It's okay. I just, water blessing can happen in any way for you, but we'll just, we'll call in Quan Yin for this special water blessing, and we'll just ask that, that this water can heal the parts of us that need to be healed. It can quench our thirst, our divinity, can show us, as Quan Yin teaches in the Sophia Code, and give us the gifts, spiritual gifts of rebirth, divine service, and also those rays from her that pierce all darkness. And so we can bring quantum energy into our water. And then what I do on certain days is, if there's something specific that I want to bring, some days it's energy. If I'm low energy, some days it's healing. I just speak those words into my water. So you can do that now. If you have water and you're on this call, go ahead and do that. And we'll just breathe for a minute. And then our water is blessed. So it is.
Beautiful.
Cheers.
You can do that any day, all day. And literally, at Moto, who did the water studies, if you put words into your water, it just completely changes the molecular structure. I also put my water in the sun. I put it in the sun, and then I do the water blessing. And as the solstice is coming too, that sun energy is super, super powerful.
I've been learning that now from Quan Yin. When she's doing the water blessing, she's sending those 3 rays, the pink ray, quartz pink ray of divine love, right?
Yep.
The white purity ray, and then the aquamarine ray for courage, rebirth, and service.
Divine service, yeah. I love that.
It's so beautiful to really, basically, all it takes, let's use our visualizations, let's use our minds and our hearts for what they actually could help us co-create, because they do it all the time, but it's more on a default for most people, right? They create back and forth all the time, activating what we call algorithm of co-creation in the academy, without being consciously aware that, well, they create all the time, don't they?
Yep.
So let's do it with intention, conscious intention, instill it with love and light. Yeah. And pillar 3, right? Let's choose to live as though everything is a miracle. It's a choice, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Yeah, I always like to say we're either working with our own magic or under somebody else's magic, right? It's, if we're not conscious of what we're creating, and we're not choosing our intentions, then someone's going to be choosing it for us. And there's a lot of bad magic spells out there.
Well, I mean,
I shouldn't say bad, but there's a lot of magic spells that I don't want to choose to be under.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we make it a point really to work with non-judgment. So I even, for the introduction, our actual proper first workshop that we had just released this Tuesday, because the first one was, we call them the original goddesses. It allowed me to birth, it allowed us to, really create the curriculum and so on. So the Tuesday one is really the actual first one that is structured and spontaneous, allowing for spontaneous fulfillment, of course, as well. But what I'm getting to is that I created the glossary, because so many people use so many words, including, I love words. Mother Mary tells us words are creative, right? It's important to be conscious of your word. What does she say to us about the words? Do you recall?
Yeah, your word is pure. Your word, you are your words, so they are spells. What you're spelling is so important, and there is so much, that we have to work through unconsciously. They say the first 7 years of your life is like hypnosis, and so it does take practice and conscious intention to really shift your words and how you're using them. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So then, if people would like to work with your magic a little bit, what do you, right now is about the circle in July, isn't it?
Yeah, right now, my next offer is the circle. I, have and do work one-to-one with people. I just took a break. When you give birth, you're like such an open portal, and it just took some time to sort of integrate that. And I will, though, down the road be doing that again, and probably creating my own course around birthing a project and creativity. And so it's coming. And then also I guess what's in the most immediate future is with my mate, he's creating a chakra course. And so moving through the chakras. And then I'm probably going to be doing my own thing, moving through the chakras. And then they'll funnel together, and we do retreats, once in a while too. So
where are you located? Actually, we didn't say that.
No, I didn't. I'm right now, I'm in, Sebastopol, California.
Sebastopol, California. We have Sebastopol in Bulgaria here in Europe, but it's not that one.
Oh, there is a Sebastopol.
Yes, in Bulgaria.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
I mean, as we know, the new world has been created by immigrants mainly, once they, shall we say, kicked butts of Native Americans, unfortunately. Bless their souls, all of their souls. Don't you have some Native American roots? No, you don't.
I do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Pomo, which is actually native to this land that I'm on, Pomo, and then also Cherokee as well. And I really, like, as a kid, it was like that language spoke to me, and I was doing things that, like, I wasn't aware of what they connected to. But yes, I have my grandma was not aware that she was this powerful person. She had a lot of, unfortunately, codes from the 50s that really repressed her as a woman, but she would, smoke her tobacco barefoot and grow these plants that were, I just, like, as a kid, I was like, oh, you're a Native American shaman.
Well, that's why you were so drawn to White Buffalo Woman, eh?
Yeah. I love it. It's like,
I was probably the one that I had to actually really work with that, because I was as far from that as possible. But once I did do several initiations, wow, I really, really connected.
Yeah, it's been hard to sort of publicly speak to that lineage of mine, because there's so much healing that needs to take place with the indigenous people. Even today, as we have all these movements to support people, it's like we're still not going to the root, which is, like, at least in America, where, really there was genocide to these peoples. And so it's a little bit sensitive, in that. But yeah, I really speak to, I have an elder that comes into my consciousness, and I've gone to him and been like, how do I carry this medicine in a good way? And sort of worked directly with that spirit to really honor that path.
Great. So just to wrap it up, let's maybe end it with some good wisdom that you, I'm sure, have for those of us who, and we have some of these women that we chose to work with women now, just because we can't help the whole world, can we? The whole world. But men will benefit, because when the beautiful woman is healed, oh my, right?
Right.
But the question is here, what would be the advice, the wisdom for those of us who really, like Kaia, had the most profound traumatic experiences in this lifetime?
Well, it's definitely a personal journey. Healing is so multidimensional. I could say this thing worked for me, but it really is like a heart process, and that you always have to come back to. It, like, cycles in your life. I'm kind of in a healing year for myself. And, just, if anything, I think the golden wisdom I could give would be figure out how you can play again, how you can tap into being playful, because that energy is going to open, can be really hard if you've been in a lot of trauma. It's like there's that wisdom, like, if you're depressed, and you go to an indigenous person, they would say, when's the last time you danced? When's the last time you sung? When's the last time, I think, you were still? Those kind of things. And so it's like, sometimes you really do have to like, not fake it, but you have to create it, even if you're not feeling it because you're so hurt. It's like, put on some music, put on something that's going to shift your energy, to get, because it's really, for me, it's like, if I'm in that place again and I slip there sometimes where I am sort of the hurt self and not, it's like, sometimes I have to get the bridge, find the bridge to the place that gets me to the place that makes the healthy choices I need to make, if that makes sense. Like,
we call it 0 point, you know,
yeah.
you know, you can't go from, oh, I'm super, from I'm super depressed to super happy, you know, you maybe come to 0 point first.
A little bit. I always would, when I was really doing a lot of therapy, it's like, I would tell my clients, like, the littlest bit every day is going to be more meaningful than, you know, like, do a walk around your block every day and then build on that. Like, it's like, sprinkle those things in that, you know, eventually will make you feel better. You know, it's not like a walk around the block is going to give you some huge release, but as you build on that, you're going to get the motivation to get to the level that helps you feel better.
Well, that actually brings us to beautiful end. I have just in the workshop, the Monday, we call them Monday Originals and Tuesday workshop.
Nice.
I have launched the inner 21-day challenge. I'm, again, marching orders from Quan. Thank you, beautiful goddess. To heal and work with the inner child. So 21 days, I mean, psychologically, you know that it takes anything between 21 to 66 days even to create new neural pathways.
Yep.
So I said at least 21 days, we're going to get a little gift from Quan and other guidance to do something. And today we did our own, you know, commitment to our own inner child when girls had shared. And, you know, little by little, every day, and we're going to get there. It is one of the toughest things to really say, I love you unconditionally, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. You also reminded me of, like, you know, what we're healing in that process is our solar plexus. It's our father wounds, really, like the masculine wounds. And like, all of that is centered around our ability to do things and to create a healthy pattern, right? So yeah, and with the solstice coming up, right, we're honoring that particular center. And so it's a good time to, like, do what you're saying, like a 21-day challenge, like play with your willpower in a way that is fun. And when you do it in a community, it's so much more powerful to have that accountability piece too. I love it.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. There is an info here. We will have you back in like 2 months or something. See what's up.
Yeah. This is fun.
Anybody, I really want to encourage anybody. Just do the circle with Joe. I mean, EriKA, right? EriKA. Just the last name.
Joan is my middle name, so yeah.
Like Joan of Arc. Yeah.
Joan of Arc.
But why is it Kaia EriKA with?
Ka is like my spirit name. Ka is your spirit energy in the Egyptian language, and so
your higher self,
yeah, your higher self. And so I've been kind of transitioning into going by the name Ka. I've had some really special people in my life. One of them passed on, and it's like they called me Ka. And I also connect with crows, like Ka. So it's kind of, it's my spirit name.
So then go and contact Ka Joan Cole. If you feel so magnetized, right? And I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and we'll be in touch with, I'm sorry, what is the name of your beautiful mate?
Oh, Colin
Farwell. What was his name? The handsome one. Colin Farrell, Colin Firth. We have got lots of Colin. Now we're going to have your Colin.
We're calling in the Collins.
That's right. So Cecile, this goddess is on to get in touch, and you to get in touch. Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. So thank you. I love you, and
love you too.
We'll talk to you later. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Lovetarians. Bye.
Bye.
Till next week.